You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting-edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact. Hello and welcome to Business Wealth Impact. Today we have Liam Cole, who's a shareholder and director of growth at Poppins, which is one of the UK's fastest growing brand, digital and marketing agencies. And he also happens to be an expert at relationship building. Hey, Liam, I'm excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. Very excited for our conversation.
Awesome. So you have special insight on relationship building. Let's start helping people get better at relationship building. Hit us with that.
Definitely. And that passion for me is because really every good situation in my life has been through relationships. Every business opportunity, every connection, everything has really stemmed back to relationships. So I've invested a lot of my time into building relationships and understanding how you build deep and meaningful relationships. I'm not purely talking about knowing lots of people. I'm talking about really, really knowing lots of people. The nuance of those pieces, how to truly connect with people, how to listen, how to learn, and then how to add value to those individuals so that you build meaningful relationships. And quite frankly, those relationships can support every area of your life.
For sure. Okay. How do we do this?
Well, I personally have done it in a number of ways. My number one advice to people is, and people will talk about side hustles, right? Find your passion, find something you love to do. I actually believe one of the best side hustles you can do, which can lead you to many, many different things, is to build relationships, is to connect with people, is to engage with people, is to meet new people. Those relationships will open doors. And really the best way to do that is you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to go to events. You can use incredible platforms like LinkedIn, join sports networks and engage with people, connect with people on a personal level and ask smart questions. Unfortunately, we live in a world today where we are distracted half of the time. We're half in, half out of every conversation, quite frankly, because we're all on our phones 24/7, craving dopamine hits. And what I look to do and what I talk about a lot is actually how to train yourself away from that and how to build connections with people that do last and how to open up more from conversations rather than them be surface level.
Okay. So networking is involved here. Okay. Personally, you're going to hate me saying this. I don't like networking. The concept of networking, I used to teach this, but I realized that networking was just a bunch of people all trying to sell to each other. And sure, business has to be done, but just the idea, I did so much of it. And I felt like the conversations weren't very deep. It was more about, hey, let's just talk and let's see who's going to sell to whom. Have you sort of experienced that?
So much. We've all been to enough events where it's slap a name tag on and it's
Mm,
people hop from one conversation to another, right? It's who are you?
mm,
How successful are you? And what can I get out of
mm,
you? And I think that
mm,
networking actually, and I totally agree with you. I think that unfortunately the word networking has become synonymous with that, with those
mm,
type of people. And unfortunately it's a word now that I think is tainted, which is why
mm,
I like to refer to it as the art of relationship building, because it's a lot
mm,
deeper, it's a lot more meaningful, and it has more true and purposeful intentions behind it, right? Rather than as you
mm.
quite rightly put, just going to events and hopping from one person to the next and having these really cheap conversations. And as I always like to say, business cards are great, but they can trick you into thinking you've done enough. Having a quick
Mm.
conversation with someone and throwing a business card in their face, that's not connecting.
No,
That's not building relationships.
I don't even have a business card. I don't believe in them
Good.
anymore unless, maybe I'd get just a few for my very high end offer that are maybe metal. I was thinking of that. Okay. So I love the art of relationship building. Also, I thought, how could we think about this? We could think about it connection events rather than networking. So, what are the secrets? Let's hear the secrets of successful relationship building.
Well, I think the first thing, as we said, is to put yourself out there, right? Is to expose yourself to events and experiences is to go to gatherings and moments where you're going to meet other people. That's the first step. Find ways where you're going to put yourself into situations where you're going to connect with new people. For some people, that's uncomfortable. So my recommendation is always to do it aligned with things that you enjoy, right? If you enjoy painting, go to a paint class, connect with people that way. If you enjoy sports, join a run club. Whatever you enjoy, there will be other individuals that enjoy the same thing. And it could be online. There are value
Mm.
in, if you're a gamer and you want to connect with people and you can
Mhm.
go and play games with them. Beyond that, it's all about the conversation that you have, and primarily the
Mm.
most valuable conversations you can have in real life. I think especially with AI and the change in communication we have digitally,
Mm.
it's hard to see through what's a real comment, what's a fake comment. There's a lot of noise digitally. So I personally am a big fan of those interactions being in real life. And the
Mm.
things that you then need to do when you connect with people, it's simple, but a lot of people struggle with it, is listen. And the best way that you can listen is through a few techniques that I like to use. And I refer to something called me tennis. We've all been in the conversations where you'll say something about a trip you went on. And I'll go, great, 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 great. And then I'll say, oh, I've been there before and I've done this and I've done that. And then you'll reply with, oh, and I've done this, I've done. We're not connecting. We're not learning anything about each other. And we're certainly not building a relationship. It's a comfort mechanism. Whereas actually the better way to do is, once you told me about your holiday, I would then ask an open question, right? How did that trip make you feel? What part of it was the most enjoyable? Who did you go there with? And I try and mix the questions between fact finding questions and also emotional questions, right? Like, how does it make you feel? What did you enjoy most about that trip? Those are the questions that are going to unlock a conversation of greater value. It's also going to teach me a lot more about you as an individual. Beyond that, you want to make sure that you're also delivering a good conversation to someone, right? I think that having interest and knowledge in similar subjects will allow you to have a more open and clear conversation with individuals. We always talk about body language as well. There's an incredible technique that you can do to build rapport very quickly. If you look in someone's right eye, it actually links back to when we were children. And when you're a child, and very strangely, there's a natural connection between the parent and the child's right eye generally speaking, because of the way that they would hold and look at the child. So there's a small
Mm.
technique that you can do if you look in someone's right eye, and you won't notice it, by the way. Even if I was to look at you in person in your right eye, you wouldn't know that I'm doing it. But it's a
Mhm.
subtle way that you can actually build rapport with someone and create a greater connection.
Okay, I've never heard that before. So if it's somebody else's eye, we're looking at the left,
So
right?
I would be looking at your right eye. So you want to look at my right eye.
So my right eye is here.
Hmm.
So if you're looking at me, you're looking to your
To your
left.
left. Exactly. Sorry. Yes. If you're, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when you're looking at somebody's face, you're looking on the eye that is on their left because it's their right eye, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've never heard that before. I learned something.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to try that, see what happens. Okay. Now, because this is a business show, let's be real. People do want to get business, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
It is just the exchange of how that happens is just so icky now. So obviously, this relationship building sometimes leads to clients for you, or it's just friends, right? So, what is the mindset one should have is that you're just open to whatever that relationship becomes?
Yeah, I would say so. The way that I've built relationships over my career is I've always aimed to add value. So the more people that I've met, the more connections I've got naturally, and the more people that I can call upon when I need to help someone. So
Mm.
my goal with any conversation would be to understand the individual, regardless of what company I work for or what products I may be selling. And principally, I've always been a salesperson of some degree. I would bypass that to a large extent and think, actually, let's listen to the human being in front of me and let's ask a whole bunch of questions. Let's understand them. Let's understand what they're up to. And then I can immediately go, do you know what? I've got someone that can help you with that. It might be, they might need a new tailor. I go, I know a couple of good
Mm,
new tailors. I can help you and make that introduction. Now, I will continue to add value as much as I can to sort of cement our relationship. And A, because I love it. It's one of the funnest things I think is connecting two people and it being
mm,
genuine. You know, you're not trying to
mm,
do it for your own purpose. So that's
mm.
incredibly fun. And then I've always experienced in my career that if you do that and you look after the person and you aim to add value, if there is an opportunity, or should I say, when there is an opportunity to do business with that individual, you will always be remembered favorably. You know, they will always feel
Mm,
happy for you to reach out to them with a new product or a new service because your
mhm,
intention hasn't been to ram something down their throat at a time they're not interested. Of course,
mm.
if they were interested at that time, great, you can go through that process. But in my experience, the the best business I've done today were from relationships built 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay, so we need to put equity into this. Time equity, energy equity, right?
100%.
Personally, I spent a lot of time networking when I first started my business, like for 8 years. I had hundreds of thousands, probably of thousands of business cards, and I would keep them and I put them in different things. And I realized I just had a bunch of business cards because it was a lot of time. But when I would want to create relationships, people weren't interested. It was like, oh, well, she's not going to work with me. So here's my card. And I looked at them all and I thought, wow, this is thousands of people I know. But nobody ever reached back and said, hey, how you doing? And if I did that, they'd be thinking, oh, do you want to sell me something? It was, weird. Or if they did reach out, it was because they were wanting to sell me something. And I did, of course, I've created relationships and some of these people ended up like being friends or whatever. But it takes a lot of time. And personally, just from my personal point of view, I think that was a lot of wasted time
Yeah,
because they weren't of a mind to the people that you're speaking to. If they don't have the same idea as you, it could potentially be a waste of time,
yeah,
right? Because you're trying to, relationship build and be engaging and seeing, what is this relationship? Because that's how I am. It's not just, hey, you want to buy something or not. And it's interesting what you're saying because I do go to tennis and I met somebody there, and bit by bit, she's a doctor.
mhm.
She ended up being my doctor because
Wow.
she's a metabolic doctor, which I wanted, a functional, or I'm very into like high level health. And the funny thing is, when I first met her, I didn't really like her at all. Like she wasn't very personable at all. And she immediately said, oh, I'm one of the top hormone doctors in like America. And I just thought, wow, okay. And I just thought, whoa, what a pitch. And I just said, okay. And I didn't even tell her what I did. She didn't ask what I did. She never has to this day asked me what I do. And she's my doctor, which is quite funny. But I got to know her and I realized that that was just her manner. And she kind of like, I asked her a couple of questions about products and got a little bit more. And she gave me, she was value adding, right?
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, she's not so bad. And I ended up going to her, and she's actually a very good doctor. But the interesting thing, to this day, I don't even think she knows what I do.
Wow, really?
No, because it doesn't matter to her.
Yeah,
Get it?
yeah.
It's just she is kind of pitching, sort of soft pitch. She is a very good doctor. But I just thought, oh my goodness, I remember thinking there's no way I'd go to you, but then I ended up going to her because I understood her personality and she's not a bad person. She actually was helping me. She was like, oh, and I thought, oh, she's actually very generous. And then she said this and this, and she knew stuff that I know a good doctor when I meet one. I thought, oh, because I do a lot of reading about health and all sorts of stuff. And I thought she knows stuff that average doctors don't know. Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
That my first impression was like, oh, I would never go to you.
It's so funny, isn't it? It's the old saying about first impressions and everything like that.
Mm,
It's I think that you can misunderstand someone very quickly,
mm,
especially if they come at you with high energy, which it sounded like she did, and maybe in a
right.
in a scenario where you weren't kind of on that same level, it can actually feel quite shocking. Like, well, this person maybe isn't.
It was just weird because we're playing tennis, and I said,
Yeah,
"Oh, hi, what do you do? Casual." Oh, I'm one of the, and I just thought, okay. I was like, oh, and everybody looked like, all right. She really wanted me to know because she is trying to get clients as well as play tennis. Get it? So
yeah.
it worked, but I think I'm unusual because I just want good people. I don't care. I don't care about her bedside manner, to be honest. I just want good help. So I'm a little different that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. I'm not like, oh, I didn't like her at first. I'm like, oh well, she seems good now. Okay, sure, I'll take you.
Yeah.
But I'm just more like I just want good people. And okay, it was a bad first impression. That's okay. I got to know her, and she's actually pretty nice. Okay, so I love the little hint about the right eye. Tell me, what got you into this? What got you good at relationship building?
Well, for me, it stemmed from what I wasn't good at. I think, but actually, that was the starting block for me. As a kid, I was terrible, terrible in school. Not because I was a bad pupil. I struggled with learning really badly, and I left school without any qualifications and stumbled my way into a commission only door to door double glazing sales job. And no one likes you when you're a double glazing salesman knocking on their door. Pure fact, especially when you're an 18-year-old kid. I think people dislike you even more. And I found that during that job, I had an ability to build quite instant rapport with people. To Even though I was knocking on their door and disturbing them at home, was to create a moment where I engage with them, whether it was my mannerisms or just the way I was or the things that I said. I found something that I was good at, and it was a bit of a eureka moment for me. It's like, oh my god, I'm actually good at something. I'm not a complete waster, and that was the catalyst for me. I became very good at that job. I then moved to another company, ran a team that they did the same thing. I then moved to various different businesses, went to Amazon and helped launch a platform called Amazon Local, which was a UK mainly piece that was all about getting sort of deals and benefits at restaurants, and then moved my way into luxury concierge, which I was very fortunate to spend time with and meet incredibly successful, very affluent individuals. And I had to build relationships with those people and sell them a service. So I had to connect with people that, by all means, on the kind of food chain, so to speak, were way way above where I was. But I had to find ways of engaging and connecting with those people and building trust and rapport. And then it's evolved, really. That rapport piece over the years has evolved into relationship building and so much more detail beyond.
Mm. Okay, so interesting. I was thinking as you were talking about, I was listening. I was also thinking about something you said before about like the best connections were like 10 years prior.
Mm,
Now, my belief is that there's different kinds of people and energies, and that the way people connect and how things play out are very different with different people. I'll give you an example. I don't find that. I find with me, if I make a connection, the benefit for both of us is instantaneous, like almost right away. Like if people meet me, they either work with me right away or they never do.
mm,
Okay. When I make new connections, usually we do a deal like almost right away. I'm serious. It's not, I have a way of relationship building very quickly, very quickly. And people that I meet that also do that, we sort of find each other. And it's
yeah,
like, hey, you kind of go on a honeymoon almost. Like, even though, you're not romantically engaged.
yeah.
I mean, it's like you just click. It's like, okay, what are we going to do together? And then we'll invest together or we'll like really quickly. I mean, very quickly. It's not for me. And maybe have you found that? And am I onto something here that maybe different personalities have a quick connection that is immediate, like, I mean, an immediate return for all of us involved? Or is there a type of person where it's like a long build? Do you think that's a personality thing?
What a great question. Yeah, I think both. I've had a few meetings recently over, and I'm very lucky, and I say lucky because I do believe that people are the most incredible thing about life.
Mm,
It's amazing, and I can have the most amazing conversation with a taxi driver or someone that's running a multi-million pound business.
mm,
Beyond that, there are those moments where you just click with someone. It's an energy, it's a spark. It may quite simply be, to the point we made earlier about the lady that you met. It might be that actually you just meet each other on a really good day at the perfect time, at the perfect moment, and your energies click. Or it might well be that you have the same passions and interests. Beyond that, though, I am also a firm believer that, you know, good relationships can take time, and great things can come from pretty mundane. And I don't say mundane in a bad way, but, relationships that are basic, right? They might not be the closest person ever to you or someone that you love to spend time with. Because I also don't think that that's just not normal, right? We don't love and enjoy time with everyone, but I do think that there is value and interest and engagement and things to be learned from every conversation.
Mm,
Doesn't mean you're going to like every single person, but I think that the same can be said on both sides. To your point, you can meet someone tomorrow, click with them immediately, and spend the next 2 weeks doing incredible things together that can balloon up into a lifetime of greatness. Or you can meet someone else, kind of keep in touch with them a little bit, go distant for a while, and then something come back around, you meet an event
mm,
or they need you or something like that. That's also why I'm a firm believer that in that honeymoon period, if you like,
mm,
there is a great chance to build, to add value. And I've always said
mm,
my greatest value and my greatest success is my connections. And I
mm,
look to use isn't the right word because but I look to unlock those within every interaction. Meet someone, make a load of connections, add value, and then that relationship is cemented. That's my philosophy.
mm, mm. Now, it's so funny because I also did door to door. Nobody knows this, but
No
when I
way.
was yes, the funny thing is I finished college. I studied fashion design. And I was like, oh, I was kind of like, I was just like, oh, it was so hard. Like in the last year of college, almost everybody was kicked out. They just couldn't hack it. It's actually really hard to do the last year of fashion design. It's very demanding. You got to produce all this stuff. And, there were very few of us at the end. And they said, okay, you got to give up all social life to get through this year. Literally, that's what we were told at the beginning of the year. You got to give up all social life because you will not make it. I know that that's weird. People don't know that about fashion design. They think it's just like fun. So I didn't give up all social life. I just didn't sleep very much. So I did that and I thought, oh, and I got a job. I think I got a job and I immediately got a job like in fashion jewelry and it was kind of exciting. And then I didn't really like the boss that much. And, I was young and I thought, and I thought I'm just going to do something else. And so my mother's like, you just finished. Why would you do something else? And I said, I don't know. So I went through, the want ads and it said people to sell oil paintings door to door. And I thought,
Wow.
sure, sure, why not? So I got a job. I had it for like 1 week. I got this job, and these people sold oil paintings door to door. And we would go out it was in the late 80s, and it was in Australia. And we would all there were some guys with the girls, of course. We'd go out in a team of like five. It was kind of fun for a week. It was kind of fun. I felt like I was playing hooky for a week from my life. I felt like I'm playing hooky from my life. And I did it for a week. And we piled into this car and we drive around Perth, Western Australia to areas. And these paintings were mass produced in China. Okay. They were oil paintings, but I realized later, I thought, how come they all look exactly the same? So they basically had factory people painting in the factory. So we go out and we would knock on the doors. Okay. And there were guys near us, just in case. People would let me into their homes. When I think about that now, well, it wasn't no men, but these people would be, oh, sure, love, come in. And I would show them a couple, and I think I sold one, one
Wow.
painting. It was so hard. It was so soul sucking. The only fun part was piling into a car with a bunch of other people and being on a team. I
Yeah.
dug that.
Yeah.
So I did it for a week and I just thought, no, I think I'm going to go back to my fashion career. But
Yeah.
I learned something. And I think it's something that I think it was what was that guy? Famous like business coach. He's dead now. What's his name? I can't remember. I'll come to me. He said he thought that every single person should do door to door sales to develop your character. Do you agree with that?
I could not agree more with it because you face rejection slap bang in the face. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Life is certainly not a bed of roses for anyone, right? Everyone will go through challenges and tough times. And I think that doing door to door sales, whatever you might be selling, windows or beautiful paintings, is a pretty good way to harden yourself and also just learn the nuances of how people interact with one another in those moments.
Mm, mm. Okay, awesome. So basically, how to build better relationships, listen, right? Look in the right eye, and ask questions and listen, and not don't be too worried about the goal of your conversation. Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, definitely. Be inquisitive, I think. And we all know the phrase of like two ears, one mouth, but actually I think that if you think about it slightly differently in that when someone tells you something, figure out a question to ask, or you can ask very easy, as I said, you can ask, how did that make you feel? What part did you enjoy most? These are really emotive questions that excite people. For example, whenever my other half comes home in the evening or we see each other, I ask her what was your favorite part of the day, rather than saying how was your day. She'll say good, bad.
Mm,
So what was your favorite part? So it makes her think, and she does the same to me. What bit did I enjoy most? And then we'll ask
mm,
each other, why did you enjoy that most? And it's so
mm,
much more of a rich conversation. And I think also, if I may, a piece of advice that I probably two pieces of advice that I could have given as well within there. I imagine a lot of people are thinking, well, how would I build this network of connections and all these relationships? I didn't I didn't start with any. You just meet people, you just go out and build
mm,
relationships, and sooner or later you go, oh, John, you should meet Sally because Sally is a great lawyer, and I know you need
mm,
one, and it starts to leapfrog from there. And the way, to your point earlier around having loads of business cards, how do you manage a lot of relationships? My other piece of advice there would be dedicated time, like everything. I do a lot of what I like to call walk and talk. So when I'm walking between meetings, I'll be calling people all the time. I might catch someone, I might not. 5-minute catch up. It might turn into 20 minutes, whatever time I have available. I'm always looking to maximize that to
mm,
maintain as many relationships because I've experienced firsthand where they can lead me.
mm. No, I didn't think I was that good a connector, but actually, some of my friends have called me a master connector. And I'm like, really? Because I agree with that. To me, it's always about who do I know that can help. They don't ask me.
Mm,
Like, hey, you mentioned that. Do you want to meet this guy? And usually, when I like match make people, they're always thanking me. Oh wow, it was so great. And I will actually create time to get on a Zoom, all three of us, to just to
yeah,
introduce, be there. I can't always do that, but I try to dedicate some time to my high level connections, where it's like, okay, I feel like this person's really going to benefit from meeting that person. And usually there's no benefit to me. It's just, I just want to sort of like host that. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah. You want to
But I
help?
I have introduced people that have ended up investing with each other. Like, it's been amazing. I introduced one of my guy contacts. We were sort of friendly. We developed a quick connection, and introduced him to one of my friends, and they were like went on a bromance together. I mean, they were just like loved. I could see they were. I saw the bromance right in front of my eyes. I was like, so funny. Okay, I
Brilliant.
love that. Oh yeah, I love that. I could see they were really digging each other. Oh, I'm so glad I met you. And then they met after, and they ended up investing in his company. I mean, it was amazing. So I love that. Everybody wins, right?
Yeah, and how good does it feel, right? Knowing that what is quite an easy thing for you to do, but actually those people had gaps in their life, or maybe they didn't have those gaps, but they certainly
Mm,
they certainly were all the better for making that connection. It feels so good. I think I'm sure you would agree, based on what you said,
mm.
when you connect people and something great happens. As you mentioned, it could be a friendship or it could be great business. It's such a fulfilling thing to put people together, I think.
It is. And actually, when I used to have parties, my thing, I noticed at parties, people are too shy or they don't really go over and say hello. I would make it a point to drag people from one part of my party to and say, "Did you meet this
Oh,
person?" I
nice.
I was doing these like strings of introductions the whole evening till I felt like every single person, meet my friend. Oh, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you introduced me." And I'll be like, oh, "Okay, that person hasn't." I spent a lot of the time just drawing lines, connections between people. It made it more fun for me because then when the party ended, people would say, "Oh my gosh, I was so glad to meet your friend. I'm so glad you introduced me, and we're going to go do this." And I love that. I think it's generosity to share your connections,
Mm, yeah.
friendships too. Some people are a little jealous with their friendships. I've never been that way. I'm like, "Mm, you know?
Yeah, 100%. The only thing I'm sad about that story was that I wasn't at any of your parties. I feel I feel like I
I'll
missed
have to.
out.
You did. No, actually, my parties, people loved them because I always had really good food. I don't do many of those, but I had really good food and I made sure everybody had a good time. To me, I believe in life, welcoming people, especially in your home, to make them feel welcome is a very noble thing. I've
Yeah.
always believed that. It's one of my ethics, actually, is make people feel truly welcome and included.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's a really,
Right.
really powerful and meaningful comment. You know, it's such a lovely thing to do, and it shows if people are leaving your party saying those things. Also, as well, if you think about the best parties you ever went to, it was because there was a load of great people there. You know,
Mm.
and I think the work that you were doing to connect people. You know, you leave going, I just met loads of great people. You know, I had a great
Yeah.
time with great people.
Yeah, because the regret that I would have is, wow, those 2 people at the party, and they didn't connect like sliding
Yeah.
doors, you know? And that to me is a lot of sadness with sliding doors that you could have met somebody that something could have happened and changed the trajectory of your life, even in a small way. So I see this connection thing as changing the trajectory of your day, your life, your week, because you've met somebody new in some way.
Massively, and as you quite rightly put it earlier, you know, it could result in investment. It could result in someone meeting the love of their life. You know,
Exactly.
these are when you really think about it, these are powerful things. It could result in
Yes.
someone moving halfway across the world and doing something completely new. And I think
Mm.
that is the power of relationships, and that's the incredible magic that can happen when you put people together and you build great relationships.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. This has been so interesting. So, Liam, what is a mindset or philosophy that you would like to share with the people listening before we part?
Not think about yourself. I think that we all get wrapped up a little bit too much in our own story, and it takes awareness and attention to to draw yourself away from that. I mentioned before about the sort of me tennis thing, you know, I did this, I did that, I did this. It's hard to break that cycle. And I think being conscious of actually putting yourself aside and your own interests aside and focusing on the person in front of you and caring about what they're saying and caring about understanding them as an individual, I can tell you firsthand, it will enrich your life endlessly. So it will create more great conversations. You'll learn more. You'll get more from every moment and life. And of course, you'll make more great connections and more great opportunities off the back of it. So that's that's what I would say to people is is kind of put yourself to one side and focus on the individual.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for sharing all that and thank you for being on the show and we will see you on the next one. You're listening to the Business Wealth Impact Podcast, your source for empowering information and cutting edge ideas from the world's top minds. I'm your host, Jeanne Amlour, founder of seven-figure coaching company, Jeanne Amlour International. Join me on a journey to unleash your potential and create your highest success. Welcome to Business Wealth Impact.